What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gundam, Gunpla, gaming, and tabletop, basically whatever comes to our minds. It is not necessarily a Whiskey Wednesday. I guess it's a Talkative Tuesday, a Thirsty Tuesday. No, that doesn't work. Give me a minute. I'll think of
Taco
it.
Tuesday.
Taco
I didn't
Tuesday,
prepare any tacos, but
Tequila Tuesday.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's the Tuesday for me.
That's a good one. See, Tea Tuesday, I'll take it because technically it's still the work day for me and Adam.
Wow.
But we have a special guest on this afternoon, Shirt Lad, who is a prominent member of the Discord server over at Midnight Hatters Discord. We have you on here because you are both a Gunpla aficionado and probably one of the most prolific Gundam gaming gurus that I've ever seen. So welcome to the show today. How you doing, buddy?
Doing quite well. You too?
Oh, we're doing good. Adam, you doing all right?
Yeah, doing good. And you know what? I think you guys have mentioned this before, but Shirt Lad, where are you from exactly?
Central Europe.
Oh, okay. Okay. And what time is it right now?
6 p.m.
Oh, nice. Good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just getting off work and settling in for the evening.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, hey, Adam, I appreciate you working with the scheduling. I really wanted to have Shirt Lad on and accommodating that EU that European time zone is tricky sometimes. So, I'm excited. I see that we already have some folks in the chat and some of the regulars. We've got Ian, we've got Spanking Goose, we've got this guy Gundam Explained. He's always showing up in my streams and running his mouth.
And even Spanking Goose is asking for thoughts on Gundam Evolution, so that'll be interesting to get into.
Yeah, I'm interested in that as well.
Later.
So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Shirt Lad, give us like the 10,000 foot overview. Tell us about the content that you create, primarily on Odyssey. I've got your links down in the description below on YouTube, so people can go check you out and subscribe to your channel and everything. But tell us a bit about what you do because you can describe it a lot better than I can.
Okay, sure thing. So, I made my channel quite a while ago. It's been more than half a year, if I recall correctly. It's I made it after making one huge ass chart for the Rango vs. Eft game for the PS2. When I realized that I can summarize all that into a more digestible format, so I started, I started it off with a gameplay video, which currently, it has very scuffed audio, so not my best works. And then I went. I went to do a few shit posts. I made some guides. I made one menu translation, since it was easier. It was easy enough for me to just pick up a Google Translate and get some guides, and yeah, I kind of cobbled it up with the various sources and translations.
That can be a lot of work. I mean, I've been still working on translating a couple of Gundam board games for a long time, basically using the same sort of strategy, Google Translate, and kind of like, some stuff you kind of have to, because your grammar is always going to come out broken, so you kind of have to like piecemeal it together.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, your guides have been incredibly helpful. There's like you said, you're putting out guides that are more digestible, that are easier to read, and I'm always astonished by the sheer like magnitude and the in-depth that you go into. And I think I've mentioned this on stream before, but one of the most fascinating things about your videos is that you have treated the Gundam Versus series as more of like a fighting game series, like a 3D fighter, as opposed to more of like an arcade shooter. And I always thought that interpretation was pretty cool.
Yeah, the thing is that when I started playing the Gundam versus games, I really sucked at certain things in Gundam versus Zeta Gundam. Like my first 5 hours of the, and as I've looked for various guides for it, I also tried delving into various videos on fighting games and the various terms, etc., etc. And yeah, I kind of stuck with it, and ended up taking that lens and applying it to Gundam versus games, because you have the overall concept of the neutral game, which is basically the state of a game where neither of the two players have a specific advantage,
Hmm?
space wise on the stage, and other such things. And it's kind of helpful because now I have a now I have quite a lot of shorthands and such terms for stuff that I would need far more words to explain.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of given a whole new nomenclature to describing combat in the versus games. Things like, and they're not, totally foreign terminology. Things like the boost dashing and stuff like that. But the idea of using boost dashing as like a method of creating combos is it's not something that I had ever considered when playing a versus game. It's like I go into it treating it more like a shooter, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that series, I never played the original Versus games, and I'm only familiar with the latest Versus that was on PlayStation and the Maxi Boost, um, the one that's out. And, the one thing that it reminded me of is when I would play either Virtual On or Virtua On or Power Stone, where it was, yeah, it's fighting games, but like in a 3D space, but it almost doesn't feel like you're playing a fighting game. But and it's a good point because you can see the people that are really into the game or successful with playing are treating it, yeah, that way. So yeah, that's interesting. I think that those games are a good example of how there could be such a huge rift between the casual player and competitive players.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so on that note, Shirt Lad, have you gotten into Gundam Evolution yet?
Unfortunately, there ain't a release in my country, so
Oh,
I guess I'll be waiting for about a year and a half till Bandai remembers that
that the rest of the
actually
world
there
exists.
is this one country in the middle of Europe that doesn't have access to Gundam Evolution.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I've
need we
heard
need to
about that.
get you a
That's interesting.
VPN so that you can pretend that you're in the United States and get on Steam. Um, because yeah, I think that Gundam Evolution would be the type of game that you would have fun picking apart, right? Like being a hero shooter, it has that same sort of vibe where you can almost treat it like a fighting game, the type of matchups that you get, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
with that
would
meta
be
that kind of shows up, and then people like jump on certain tactics and strategies.
that would be interesting. Although personally, I think that the videos on Gundam Evolution, it's already pretty saturated, so I guess I'm sticking with the abandonware for the time being.
Well, and I
No,
definitely
that is a good
appreciate that.
point. Yeah, yeah, because like there's a lot. Yeah, it's like I want to cover Gundam games, but sometimes there's those, yeah, that are kind of oversaturated, and then there's those that just don't have a lot of content online, and so that's where even getting into Gundam, I figured that out going online on YouTube. It's like there's opportunity for people to start new channels.
Exactly
Even
right.
on Odyssey like yours, which is a good way to go about it. But I would even say, as a Gundam video game fan that you're not necessarily missing out too much by not playing Evolution, because it's not like it's introducing Gundam gameplay, whereas I think the
Yeah.
Versus game has a very unique take on battling with the mech one-on-one or 2v2 with others, so
Yep. And then there's the Gundam Battle series, which is a very elaborate asset flip of Lost War Chronicles.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so yeah, tell me a bit more about Lost War Chronicles because I never actually got a chance to play that. Despite I love the characters being in like the G Generation series, but I never got to play Lost War Chronicles myself.
I haven't played that one either, but I've seen a lot of previews, and it does bear a very uncanny resemblance to stuff like Gundam Battle Tactics and its sequels.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of Gundam games for the PSP and the PS Vita that just completely flew under the radar for fans. I want to say fans in the West, but like I would include you in fans in the West, right? Because basically anything west of the sea between Japan and China is the West, right?
I guess.
Um,
yeah, and even it's amazing what when I look at the Vita and PSP, like all those Gundam games they have, and they even have a real-time strategy Gundam game I'd like to try, and I haven't tried it. It's probably easy to emulate that. Are there any Gundam games you can think of that you've emulated because there's really no other way to play it?
Quite a lot, in fact.
No.
I mean, let me pull up my PSP emulator. So I've got Giran's Greed, Menace of Axis V. It's not for 5, it's literally V. And I think it's just a souped up version of the PS2 Giran's Greed, Menace of Axis, if I
Mm.
recall correctly, with a couple more new units. Then I've got some of the Gundam Battle games, such as Gundam Battle Tactics, Battle Royale, Battle Chronicle, and Assault Survive. And you got the Gundam versus Gundam, Next Plus, and the regular one, as well as G Generation Overworld. And yeah, I made a meme earlier, probably like uh, I think 4 months ago or something like that. It was called Four Horsemen of Playing Gundam Games on PC, and it was like a PSP emulator for the games like Giran's Creed
hmm
and Overworld. Then there's like Switch emulator for Genesis, uh, PS2 emulator, and the PS3 emulator.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, and that you bring up a good point because like the memes and the shit posts that you've done, Odyssey's the best platform for that because I can't tell you like how many of the sort of shorts that I've done that get like copyright claimed because of music or something like that. So Odyssey's a great platform for that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I had used an emulator to play Gundam Unicorn on PS3. In fact, not only that, but also the what is it called? And I think it has the Lost War Chronicles in it. It's that collection that
Oh, side
I
stories?
don't know. What's that?
Is it just side stories? The one that's got
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm thinking.
Yep,
Side story. Yeah,
play
I
that
would
one.
play them on the emulator, but as cool as it's playing on an emulator, there's still some graphical glitches. So recently, I got a PS3 to resolve that, but
yes.
it's just I wish you could just use an emulator and not have to worry. You know.
Yeah. Well, because
Eh,
like the emulator version of Zionic Front is like infamously bad.
ah,
Yeah,
okay.
I've tried that one.
Yeah, which is a
Okay.
shame.
And
Like you said, I wish that there was a little bit more love for Abandonware, not just from a content creation side, which I think you're doing an excellent job filling that gap. Because obviously none of us are about to go compete with Moist Critical playing Gundam Evolution. I appreciate what you're doing, bringing a little bit more attention and love to some of the older Gundam titles that haven't seen a lot of content created around them. But
Yeah.
you know, that is to say, like, also it would be nice if we got some like decent emulations of them, decent ROMs.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy because even like with the Switch right now, you could play a new Switch game 4K 60 FPS on PC and it looks incredible. It's interesting how easy it is for I guess enthusiasts to get over emulating Switch versus old Sony stuff. Although I know PSP and Vita um are pretty good, but there's still some issues every once in a while with some of the games and it kind of goes to that preservation angle. It's like now that I'm into Gundam, it's like, oh, I'd like to go back and play all these games. I see, YouTubers or content creators like yourself making the content, but it's almost impossible to play a lot of these games. You would have to like really be an enthusiast in Gundam in general to want to try to find a way to play these games that are really hard to play. And that means people could be missing out on things. You look at like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, where there's all these games available to just play and download, and that could be just further IP recognition by porting these old games to be available to play.
Yeah,
You know?
it would definitely give us a lot more options than just GBO2. And
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
to be mainly a GBO2 and a strategy game is pretty much all
Yep.
we get.
I mean, all the PC ported games I have with Gundam on it are the new Gundam Breaker. Yep,
no, why new Gundam Breaker?
I'm feeling the buyer's remorse up to this day. It's terrible. I know. I went like I think last year or the year before that. I went on a little buying spree during the Steam Summer Sale. I was thinking, "Ooh, that's neat. That's a new Gundam Breaker just for €10. I'm gonna pick that up and I'm gonna have a blast." And about, let me check, 57.6 hours later, because how's it called? Stockholm syndrome is apparently a thing with this game.
Yeah, at a certain
Dude,
point, there's like the sunk cost fallacy. Like I
Yes.
spent the money on this game, so I'm gonna have to play at least this much in order to justify my expense.
yeah, and
Yes.
sometimes it's like there's a game you'll play and you can recognize it's horrible, but there's still something that's still drawing you to it, and it could just be it's the IP or maybe the music around it that makes it where you can like hate love it and just kind of like play through it anyway. I think I've done that recently. Like I think with that Star Wars Battlefront 2, I have way more hours in that than I really should, even though it got better
It
uh
did.
as it but yeah, with that new Gundam Break, I remember when I first played it, and I at the time it was early in getting into Gundam, so it didn't. I got it on a Steam sale actually, and then I never really played it much after that.
And then I have the Cross Race, which I got from a friend this year, in fact, during my
Nice.
birthday.
Ah,
No,
good, good. So actually, that brings up, Adam, you brought up a good point that I completely forgot to ask is, a shirt lad, when did you get into Gundam as a franchise? Were you, because obviously, you've kind of gotten into more of the video game stuff, recently, but like, how long ago did you become a Gundam fan?
I mean, I watched it casually during the span of very late 2010s, but I got hardcore into the series during, I think, 2018, like by the end of 2018 and the start of 2019.
A good time. That was a good
yeah,
time period to
yeah,
like.
similar to me. I think for me it was 2019. Um,
Hmm?
yeah, yeah, very cool.
Definitely a lot of stuff to consume by then.
Yeah,
A large backlog of content to watch
Yep.
and
but
play.
I think that's cool though how that IP Gundam had inspired myself and Shirt Lad to create content. Even
Yeah,
getting into it as late as not only in our lives, but as long as the IP's been around. That says something.
Yeah, I would say so. And
Yeah.
diversity of content, I think that, each of the three of us probably creates something slightly different with Adam being focused primarily on, the lore and the new stuff that's coming out. Obviously, you dropped a video on the latest episode of Witch from Mercury yesterday. I kind of focus more on the hobby Gunpla side, and yeah, Shirt Lad, you're bringing attention to some of these old school video games that have been left behind.
And
I
forgotten.
also wanted to attempt doing a kind of a long form content on my channel. Like I
Yeah,
was thinking I should do a piece on Seed, but that was, I think, during the start of the summer. That's when I started it. I've uh, I've made some parodic character portraits, and I've made notes on about on I think the first 5 chapters or so. I had all that set up, but then my schedule got a little bit more busy, and that's how I found out that it would take me about a month to get it all done. So yeah.
yeah. Well, sometimes life gets in the way, and Adam and I can
Yeah.
definitely both relate to that. Jedi Sayla and Scorponok in the chat. Good to see you guys. Spanking
Yep.
Goose is asking, have we all seen the update for scanning tech for the attempt to make the Gundam Battle Network real? Are you familiar with that at all, Shirt Lad? Like the Gundam Battle Network,
I've
like
seen some of the sneak peeks when Kakarot197 he covered it
right.
briefly, so I think I caught a little bit of that, but I don't think I know too much about that.
Yeah, I mean the technology exists for sure. Obviously people can do photogrammetry from their phone and capture 3D models. For my part, the most difficult thing is probably just rigging them for animation and then actually mapping animations to it. But yeah, I mean I'll be interested to see how they manage it. I'm not I'm not gonna hold my breath for it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, it seems like, they announced it and then didn't really have much information about it. And you made a good point where it's like the technology really is already there. So I'm thinking that they are more of just making it where it's just easy to use. Because yeah, like you were bringing up, it's like it's almost easy to scan something, but then the next step. Like sometimes there's a lot of
Yeah,
work that's involved to get it to wherever you need to. So yeah, maybe with the Bandai, the point is, yeah, the scanning is easy, but how can you quickly just scan and forget?
yeah,
Like you never know if there would be, okay, step two is to now fix the inaccuracies. I'd hate if that was a thing where it's like, okay, make sure the points meet and then erase some edges or something. Um,
yeah. There's a
Probably
lot of
that.
cleanup that goes into it afterwards. That could it be AI powered? Maybe. You'd probably have to throw a lot of resources behind it in order to make it work, but I don't know.
Okay.
But if I may shift gears here for a moment, like I said, this is primarily a Gunpla and hobby channel, and Shirt Lad, you brought up a interesting build that you're working on that I'm gonna pick your brain about. So tell me about this new build that you've got going on. I won't spoil the surprise. You tell us what you're working on.
Alrighty then. So I've built probably no, it's 3.5 weeks ago. I've built a high grade of Infinite Justice Gundam. I did
Which is the only
first.
Seed Gundam that I like, by the way, is the Infinite Justice.
Yeah, same. I mean, I kind of like the Chaos Gundam too because it has the. I've played it in the Rango versus F2 game, so I might be a bit biased.
Well,
Uh,
and we talked about that last week, is sometimes you don't know how much you love a mobile suit until you get to play it in a video game.
Yep. That is Yeah, that, and yeah, I think, yeah, GBO2 helped with that.
Oh yeah.
So my plan was to, add a little detail, and yeah, I was snap building part of the main body and arms with my friend who was visiting at the time. And I asked him about a color scheme that I should use when repainting it, and he was like black. And so I had that I had that brilliant idea to give it the color scheme of Titans Mark II.
Which is
Nice.
such a sick, yeah, I hate the Titans as a faction, but man, the Titans colorway is so cool, and you
And the
had,
mobile suits, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like that was my favorite part about the Gundam versus Zeta Gundam game, was getting all of the Titans colors of AUG mobile suits.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yeah, the blue Memphis was real cool.
Yeah, Blue Methus. And it's interesting, it took me a while to realize in that video game that the colorways are almost modeled after particular mobile suits. There's some deep cuts in there because the AUG version of the Gaplant is the Karaba Zeta Plus colorway. So it's like the tan and orange, like Zeta Plus A1, but it's that paint scheme on a Gaplant. Which is interesting because that colorway isn't even in the game for the AUG yet.
That's pretty neat. I've encountered a similar homage when playing Gundam versus Gundam Next Plus, because there's various illustrations going nearby when you kind of finish the arcade mode, and then there's the ending screen, the credits scroll, and they kind of throw random illustrations of the mobile suits on the screen
That's
that
awesome.
they've made and rigged themselves, like the devs. And the funny part is that the stuff that you may come across when you play the arcade mode as the Cubile Mark II when piloted by Puru, not Puru 2. It has the very specific animation frame from Dynasty Warriors 1, where Puru calls her Cubile after Damon calls his God Gundam, I mean, Burning Gundam.
Oh yeah, because there's that oh yeah, remind me that because that whole scene has like a very Dragon Ball Z-esque feel to it, right? With the whole like
Yes, the whole like, come out, Burning Gundam! And Puru's like, yeah, I'm gonna try that too. Come out, Cubile! And the Cubile just pops up.
I love it. Yeah, that's a, oh man, that's pretty cool. Like you said, just interesting homages that you don't expect. So, how far along are you on this Titans Infinite Justice?
Yeah, I've just got the straight build done, the part snapping, etc.
Nice.
Like, so far, the only customization I've done would be the front skirt separation, but I've also started kind of working on the concepts that
Yeah.
I'm gonna use in the customization. I think I've sent the pictures to you. If you can pull them up on
Yeah,
the screen, that would be nice.
let me see if I can get those up for us. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna work on getting those pulled up. But now as far as painting goes, are you going to be painting exclusively like with airbrushes, sprays, hand painting? What's going to be your technique?
Because yeah, I don't own an airbrush yet, so quite a fun thing to well,
Yeah, is
Smart
that
about
something
it.
you plan to do eventually?
yeah, I want to use an airbrush for gunpla at some point, but right now I'm just using a normal paintbrush and acrylics.
Yeah, I I myself am in the same boat as you because I really would prefer if I was airbrushing each kit I built. And I even bought like this kind of wireless, I say wireless, it's like a portable compression airbrush thing. I haven't even used it yet. It's like I feel like there's a lot that you have to prepare for. Not only do you have to have all the equipment to prepare to start airbrushing, and then it's a matter of practicing over and over and over to then get it down. So that's why I haven't done it yet, but I do plan to do it. I feel like I would want to do it with every Gunpla in the future.
Yeah.
You
I mean, speaking of unused tools, I've got some scribers from a friend some time ago, and I haven't really tried them yet. So I guess I'm gonna try practicing on a plastic bottle cap or something, some other disposable piece of plastic, because I don't really wanna scratch up the Infinite Justice before I eventually get to scribing it.
Right.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm very particular. I like to say I'm a perfectionist, but I would have to actually complete something before I can claim that. um, but I'm so terrified of screwing something up that I'm like I don't want to use this yet.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I do have a I don't I probably only have a couple kits that I can say is perfectly completed. I have so many that I'm like, eventually I'll put the decals on. Eventually I'll throw on the top coat. I seem to go as far as panel lining. And then I think a lot of it is too is that paint or nubs. And I'm like, if I can't make it perfect yet, I'm not going to finish it yet. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's it's a form of analysis paralysis, I want to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Agree.
So let me see. I think I've got us queued up here. I'm gonna transition over to a screen share. Woo. All right. Let's hope I didn't screw something up because I see that Goose mentioned that that I messed some things up with the with the audio
Oh,
while we were
good.
talking. But hopefully it's all working fine now. So on screen we've got the Mark II colors basically on the Infinite Justice. I'm gonna see if I can get us a closer
Wow.
view on that.
You guys are right. Those colors really work well on even that's so angular compared to
Uh,
the Mark II.
I kind of messed up when coloring because I just ripped a random line art of Infinite Justice, went to Microsoft Paint, used the paint bucket, and just went ham on it.
Hey,
Ah,
look, there is
that's the way
nothing
to do
wrong
it.
with that. You got to do what you got to do to make it happen. Um, but yeah, I mean those Titans colors really do make any mobile suit pop. And I think earlier I mentioned let me see if I can add this to our to the screen share here if I pull that up. Oh yeah, there we go. This is that Titans Zeta, which, you know, I mean your Infinite Justice takes a lot of inspiration, I would say, from this Titan Zeta, right? Not that
But
there's a whole lot of variety
I'm
that can go on.
probably sticking with the Mark II layout of colors.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely
I
have a
mean,
little bit more yellow in there.
the biggest inspiration for this color scheme was the okay. Let me look up the pronunciation so I
Oh,
don't
don't feel
end
bad
up.
about pronouncing things on this
It's part of
channel.
the charm.
Yeah, Adam and I we argue about
The
it.
You know the Mono Eye Gundam the Siskid or Siskide or something like that from the G Generation series.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't
Siskide, I don't know either.
Siskaday.
Anyways, Siskide, probably something like that. Uh, yeah, the core idea was that if if a G generation, if the SD Gundam G generation machine, such as that one, can get a neat Titan's color, then I suppose a Cosmic Era mobile suit could do the trick as well.
Agreed. Definitely. Um, and
Those are my notes I made in Paint.
hey, like I said, it's like I say about photography. The best camera is the one you have on hand. The best art illustration program is the one that you are most comfortable using, and I think you've done a really good job working within the framework of MS Paint. It's almost an art form into itself, because you do a lot of your thumbnails in MS Paint too.
Yes.
Mm, wow.
So now this is another thing that like obviously I have difficulty pronouncing is the Fatum. Fatum?
I don't know. I I pronounce it as Fatum
Fatum?
or something like that.
I mean, I only recently discovered that I always pronounced so you have not a Dodai, but is that Shackles or a base jabber there?
That's a
Um
Dodai Kai.
that's the Dodai Kai. So there's the other subflight system that I always thought was the Getter or the Guitar, and I only recently found out that it's Gator. Um
Oh,
because
it's
of
I
Gator?
wouldn't have known.
the only reason I found out is because it was misspelled in a SD generation Genesis like user guide, is it was spelled Gator instead of Guitar, and I was like, oh, so it's pronounced like Gator, but it's spelled Gettar.
Good call on that. Yeah, you do notice that every once in a while. A misspelling can kind of help understand the pronunciation.
Yeah. Um, but it looks like you're planning some big customizations with the Fatum.
Yeah, the thing is, it kind of reminds me of the whole wing thing that the AMF 101 Din from Gundam Seed has on its back. If you can zoom it over
Oh,
there,
yeah.
it's kind of similar when it's when it's flipped out, when it's folded back down. So it's that was one of my inspirations. So the first thing that came to my mind was the Dodai Kai, because it has a similarly dark color scheme,
True.
while at the same time being a subflight system, so that I can basically make the thrusters, etc., more distinctive.
It's very distinctly Titans stylized, right?
Yes, despite being an AUG subflight system.
Right. Um, yeah, man, that is sweet. I cannot wait to see the finished product. Now, you
Yeah.
do have here that you're going to be using some water slide decals. Did you end up purchasing some pre-made decals, or are you going to try and make your own?
Yes, so the story was that when I ordered the Infinite Justice Gundam on HobbyLink, I wanted to also get the Gundam Mark II, um, well, the high grade Revive version, alongside some decals. But the thing was that it was out of stock, so I just
Hmm,
picked up the decals, thinking that if the opportunity arrives, I might use it on something else, and the opportunity did indeed arrive.
nice. Yeah, that's awesome. So then the decal sheet you got was, um, I don't
From the real grade, yes.
that's yeah, that was my next question was which one specifically, so yeah, that's gonna look good then, because then you have a lot of, like, little, a lot of those little kind of minor, hatch decals and, like, just kind of random lines and things like that. I say random
You know?
lines, and, just markings, right? Like spaceship markings and fighter
Yep.
markings and things like that that you can kind of apply to both the Fatum and the mobile suit. So that's gonna be sweet looking. Now, do
Yeah,
you
I
Oh, go ahead.
I forget when it was. It was recently. I just went and bought a Penelope water slide sheet just to have a whole crap ton of decals for later. Yeah, I haven't used it yet, but
That's the way to go. Now, I always ask this question when it comes to custom builds like this. Do you have a story in mind with this build? Is there like a lore reason that you would have, a Cosmic Era suit, in Titan's colors, or is this more of just a, you know, happy coincidence, something that looks cool to you?
In this case, it has something to do with the SD Gundam G Generations cross race, since that game has both the Titans Mono Eye Gundam, whose name I cannot properly pronounce without it sounding super scuffed, and
We'll call it the Sissy
and
Gundam.
the Infinite. Yeah, uh, and the Infinite Justice as well. So I was thinking that if such a machine can get that paint scheme, there is a chance that the same faction that the G Generation's original character roster would also probably acquire an Infinite Justice Gundam on their journey. So it would make sense that someone would paint it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Basically, if the entire Dynasty Warriors Gundam universe exists, theoretically, all of those kind of paint schemes have to exist, right?
yeah.
Yep.
I know they had all the SD Gundam games, all those different paint schemes on top of random mobile suits that are just exclusive to that. Yeah, there's so many options.
I see here in the chat, Goose says dark colors look good on angular suits. Yep, that's good observation. The green on that Titan Zeta was Ian's kind of green. I agree. It's not anime accurate, but that Gundam versus Zeta Gundam green is pretty sweet. Um, let's see.
Nemo vibes or
Yeah,
Nemo.
yeah, exactly right. Um, and then Ian says Wing Zero in Titans colors. That would be pretty sweet. Now,
Yeah.
Ian, you said either the Endless Waltz with Angel Wings or the TV version in Titans colors. Shirt Lad, what would you say? Would you rather see the Endless Waltz version of the Wing Zero in Titans colors, or what's the there's actually a term for the Wing Zero from the anime, right? I feel like is it the Proto Zero? Is that what I'm thinking?
If
Mm,
anyone, Ian would be able
I
to answer
can't
that.
recall right now, but yeah, I think I really like the TV version of Wing. Just
You know,
I agree.
it's the wings on the Zero and the later Endless Waltz version of Zero. It just doesn't feel very mechanical.
Right.
No, it's
yeah,
It's a little too anime with like the feathers flowing off and everything. It's like
yes,
it looks
and
cool.
and
It's
the
like
TV Wing Zero doesn't really have the best wings. I just like the good old mechanical fold out wings that the original one had.
yeah, those are pretty sweet. The way that they start off almost as binders and then snap open.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Sweet. Well, yeah, then when do you anticipate kind of getting started on the paint job here?
Yeah, that's a very good question because
We mentioned
if
that
there's
timing is difficult when you have a steady content creation schedule to adhere
Yeah.
to.
yep, and stuff off screen as well.
Yep, yep. Nights and weekends.
Yep. I guess I'll well I still have to finish the high grade Universal Century GM build that yeah, I still haven't really progressed on it since summer, but yeah, I've at least dusted it off, so if that counts as progress, then then yeah, I did something.
Hey, every little bit counts, I say.
And I still haven't I have Zaku 1 sniper type still in the box, still not assembled yet. And I think I'm gonna use the leftover GM shield, and I'm gonna I'm gonna go all out on that, and probably gonna use the either the Recon Zaku color scheme or something similar to that, and then throw on some camo.
That sounds pretty cool. And
Yeah, that does.
that actually is a canon type build because if you remember from Zeonic Front, Matt Austin's Zaku one, you could unlock the GM type shield for the Zaku one, which
Yep.
I
Wow.
think you can do in Battlefield Record 0081 as well.
Oh.
Well, sweet. Then when can we expect some more content on the Odyssey channel? What's your current project as far as you mentioned that you've been doing Assault Survive, right?
Yeah, I've been working on that giant chart. You know what? I'm gonna open it. I haven't really done a lot of stuff with it since the whole intro video rework, but just for fun, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna pull it up on the Discord thing.
Here,
Okay,
let me see if
okay.
I can find an appropriate way to show this because I'm worried that if I hit watch stream, it's going to mess up the cameras here.
And Ian is saying the Proto Zero is in the manga, but is basically the TV version. The anime just classified it as the TV version. Hmm.
Oh,
So it's interesting when the
okay.
anime or the mangas kind of do some things. 'Cause sometimes it's accurate, sometimes not.
Okay,
Or
is
can be.
it visible
Yep.
now?
It's a
Yeah,
little
it's
awkward.
Or
yeah, like I've probably the longest I've spent on it was on the main mobile suit chart because yeah, the first thing I did was to list all of the models with the model numbers, which yeah, I've watched Gundam Double just recently. I think about a half a month ago. So, well, that could technically count as recent. And yeah, I had to look up model numbers for that one. I kind of browsed the wiki for the unlock requirements, and since I didn't really import saves, I kind of had to grind the whole thing out to unlock stuff. So yeah, there's about, let me see, there's 28 mobile suits that I have unlocked, but I don't own those yet, like in the inventory. So I've managed to, from the shop menu, I've copied the stats, but I don't have the tuning point capacity stat listed. Of course, the research, the whole weapon thing. Yeah, it's a huge ass chart.
It is for sure. Oh man. So yeah, I mean that's your commitment to I hope that people appreciate the commitment that you've put towards creating something so in depth and so
Yeah.
like I said robust. See if I can get our cameras back centered and everything. But now how long would you say that chart that you just showed us took you? Like you said that was several months of work.
I think the main mobile suit charts took me. It was 3/4 of a month to get the main stencil for it set up with the mobile suit names and the unlock requirements, as well as some stats. And then I spent about 2.5 weeks with on unlocks, I think. Yeah, and yeah, then I had to do. Then I had to deal with a lot of IRL stuff, so I went on a much slower pace with the whole sub-flight systems, etc.
I see.
And back to the original questions. When can you expect my new content? Well, so it's the fifth video in a row, meaning that it's gonna be a gameplay video. I usually make it the fifth one in the row of like mainline entries, not just the shorts,
Oh yeah.
so that I can actually, kind of relax a bit with the whole editing thing.
Definitely.
And yeah, that should be, if not this week, then earlier on the next week. And think I have one thing set up for the overlay bar, and if I manage to get something sorted out, there's gonna be another mobile suit guide pretty soon next.
Sweet. Well, yeah, and so we didn't even dive into overlay bar, which is your sort of live stream podcast chat show, right?
Yep. Even though it's mostly pre-recorded, so that I can kind of how can I say it well, most accurately, yeah, I kind of edit out my stutters and
Nothing wrong with that.
stumbles when I speak fast. Well, on the occasions that I speak faster than my noggin can catch up, and then no. Anyways,
Sorry, I'm just still tinkering with the video to get us back on screen here. Um but
yeah, I see.
oh no, that.
But
But
is the high grade Kshatriya on your shelf, Adam?
No, that's actually the Robot Spirits
Ooh,
version.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a mix of Gumpla and Robot Spirits action figures on that shelf. I have a lot of my Advance of Zeta on there, actually. Couple the Hazels. I even have the Titans Mark II along with them. Yeah.
sweet.
And
Well,
as we watch, yeah, Steven with his artistry. Um,
that's the fun part of working in OBS is constantly tinkering with the layouts.
yeah.
But yeah, is there anything that you wanted to mention before we finish out? We've been going on just about an hour here. Like I mentioned, everyone should go follow you on Odyssey for the latest in Gundam versus videos, shit posts, and of course the overlay bar where you kind of do what we're doing here, where you kind of interview a guest and.
Yep, and I also re-upload stuff here on YouTube under the label of the Shirtled Archive. I kinda uploaded either a few hours or a few minutes after the main upload. I've made it so that whenever should YouTube go ham with the copy strike hammer, I still have the things on Odyssey.
Exactly right.
Good call.
Yeah. Got to back up content everywhere these days because you never know.
Yep.
And are you going to be sharing your Infinite Justice build on your Odyssey channel?
Probably not.
What?
I mean,
well, then at the very least, you have to
Post it in
share it
the
on
Discord.
Discord so that obviously everyone tuning in, go join both the Gundam Explained Discord and the Midnight Hatter Discord so that you can see these these finished products.
it's like I didn't really make my channel with Gunpla in mind, so I think it would feel a bit weird to start now.
Fair enough.
Probably as a slight side tangent on the overlay bar, but aside from that, not really.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, hey, I'm gonna say thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for doing what you do because, like I said, there's not a lot of love out there for the Gundam Versus series. At least not like the classic entries in the series. Everybody's familiar with Gundam Extreme versus Maxi Boost on delete Control Alt, whatever the latest the latest iteration of that is, but not enough love for the old Aug versus Titans and Zengoku or Rengoku.
Rango versus FDS.
Yes. But yeah, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah. And the latest one is, I think, the Extreme versus 2 Cross Boost, if I recall correctly.
That's a surprisingly short title.
Yes, indeed. That's what kind of surprised me.
Well, sweet. And Adam, thank you as always for sitting second chair and keeping the chat going while I'm over here tinkering with layouts and stuff.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. No, this is great.
Yeah,
especially getting to talk to you, Trickovec. Always seeing you in the chats, on the live streams. So yeah.
Fun. As always, Gundam Explained podcast on Thursday, so not tomorrow night, but the night after. And I think that's just about everything. Next week, I'm going to be back at our normal bat channel, and we're probably going to dive into some hand painting, so that'll be a fun change of pace. But again, go follow the Shirt Lad on Instagram and the Shirt Lad Archive on YouTube down in the comments below. Thank you guys.
Since when do I have an Instagram?
Oh no, Instagram. Yeah, sorry, Odyssey. I'm all mixed up because of the change in time. But yes, thank you all for tuning in for this very special episode of Midnight Hatter Live, and we'll catch you guys later.
Yeah.
Deal.
See you.